We want to turn to a new feed here in Live Impact News, and this is coming to us from LA, where, of course, for the last several days we've been talking about the protests underway, folks protesting against the immigration sweeps from ICE. We've been hearing from the mayor as well as other city officials and other representatives. Let's listen in now here on Live Impact News.
Estoy con la ciudad de City of Vernon. My name is Leticia Lopez, and I'm here with City of Vernon as a council member, and I stand in solidarity with my elected officials and Mayor Bass. Thank you for bringing us together.
Good morning, buenos días. My name is Crystal Larios. I am with the Vernon City Council. Mi nombre es Crystal Larios. Estoy con el Consejo Municipal de la Ciudad de Vernon. I am a proud daughter of immigrants. Soy una hija de padres inmigrantes. Muy orgullosamente. Estoy con ustedes. I stand with you. And I pledge all my support to the elected staff and everyone doing everything we can to help.
Thank you. Thank you. We'll open it up for questions now. And let me just say that we will provide everyone's contact information up here because we only have a few minutes for questions, but we want you to have complete access. Yes, are you going to?
Yeah, we're going to send an email and do you have a question?
Do you have any comments from the raids today from that happens today in the morning in the city of Vernon?
I'm sorry, do I have what?
Do you have any comments about, or do you have any reports about the raids that happened today in the morning in the city of Downey?
No, but I think that the mayor from Downey did address that and can address that a little later.
This question is related.
I know yesterday you spoke about trying to contact President Trump. Were you able to make any contact at all with anyone in the administration?
I have actually a call in the next few minutes, not with him, but to get that call set up.
And what were you planning on telling him? Can you tell us about that?
Well, yeah, that I want to speak to the president and that I want him to understand the significance of what is happening here. You know, there are reports that if all of the military that have been designated to be deployed, if you add them all up, it's more military than are serving today in Iraq. And the money that is being spent, $130 million, all of our cities could use that money.
I was hoping you could speak to the fact that some people have described what's going on as rioting, whether you agree or disagree with that terminology. If you disagree with it, I was hoping you could confirm that no one is being booked under Penal Code 404, which is the rioting penal code.
I have not heard that. I've not heard of anybody being booked under that. You know, we established a curfew last night, and there were over 100 arrests, but they weren't for looting. They weren't for vandalism. They were for failure to disperse, as well as a curfew violation. So what I'm hoping is that people got the message that we're serious, and we won't even have those arrests tonight.
And what do you think about the rioting terminology?
Well, let me just tell you that the picture that is attempted to being portrayed, and all of us are impacted by this. If you look at TV and you see people who are demonstrating, some inappropriately, some violently, which I believe that anybody that's involved in violence or looting or vandalism is not supporting the cause of immigrants. Otherwise, they wouldn't be doing that because they know that that can trigger an even greater reaction from the administration. And so that is a picture you know in downtown Los Angeles because we are here. You know that this is isolated to several streets in downtown Los Angeles. The curfew that we put in place yesterday is about 6 square miles of a city that is 500 square miles. So the portrayal is that all of our cities are in chaos, rioting is happening everywhere, and it is a lie.
So do you disagree with that terminology?
We got to go here and then we're going to come over to this side.
Clearly, you don't want the National Guard or the Marines here, but
They're not needed.
yeah. But since they are here, is there any line of communication set up between your office or Chief McDonald's office and whoever is in charge of those Marines and National Guard members? Is there a line of communication?
Okay, first of all, the last I talked to the chief, there was no line of communication with the Marines. The line of communication is with the Federal National Guard, and you know they have one mission here, and that is to protect one building downtown. They weren't needed for that then, they're not needed now. When we did the curfew last night, it was all local law enforcement.
Do you believe there should be a line of communication?
Absolutely. I mean, well, first of all, I don't think it should be happening at all. But yes, there should be a line of communication.
We're going to go to this side and
So U.S. Attorney Bill City did announce some charges today.
Oh, he did? Okay.
And he said, quote, when protesting crosses the line into violence, the penalties will be severe. He's talking about like 10 years in prison for possessing Molotov cocktails. At the same time, the president who on day one pardoned the January 6th rioters. Is there a double standard there, and what do you think about
Well, I think you just illustrated the double standard. And given that I was there on January 6th and you saw an insurrection take place, the idea that this, what is happening here, is an insurrection is just false. And I think it is deliberately false. I don't think they're confused.
We're going to come down here to the post and then Craig in the back.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Madam Mayor, the protests are spreading from Los Angeles to other cities.
Yes.
And I'm wondering, what does that say about how the Trump administration is handling not only these protests, but their immigration policy?
Well, I mean, I think that the other cities recognize if the nation's second largest city and our region that has 88 cities in it and is larger than 40 states, that's LA County, if it can happen here, then what does that say about states whose population doesn't even match the population of our county?
We're going to go to Craig, Josh, and then Nikki.
Good morning, Mayor. The curfew enforcement last night, you were live with me on KNX for some time. It was very late. It looked very much like it was successful in achieving its goals. I want to know what your take is on what unfolded last night, how it went, and then secondarily, is this curfew order going to be extended? You had said it first, you'd review it today, potentially a few more days, and then you also, I think, indicated last night on KNX that you thought maybe it could end by the weekend.
Well,
at least
yes.
That was maybe a hope.
So let me just say that the emergency declaration that I signed yesterday does not have a time limit to it. And so the curfews will go on as long as they are needed. But you know, it's really kind of interdependent on what the response is from the federal side. If there are raids that continue, if there are soldiers marching up and down our street, I would imagine that the curfew will continue. What I'm hoping is that Angelino's got the message last night that we are serious. The fact that the arrests last night were relatively minor, I am hoping that we won't have any arrests tonight.
Did it work last night as you expected?
Yes, it did.
We're going to go to Josh, AP, and then Adam.
Mayor, I know you've asked the administration to stop the raids, but have you gotten any indication that the raids are going to stop?
No, as a matter of fact, I think all of us probably have the same, I mean, at this point in time, we're functioning on rumors. And so the latest rumor that I'm aware of is it's going to last for 30 days, but I really do have to say it's a rumor. Has anybody heard anything different? Right, but you see, the point, we don't know. And that uncertainty creates fear and terror in our people.
And I know you don't know what the Marines are going to do.
No, I do not.
Are you open to the idea of suggesting that maybe they assist the LAPD in enforcing the curfew?
Absolutely not. As one of our Marines who is up here, they are trained in warfare on foreign lands, not domestic. They cannot arrest. I don't know what role that they would play. And then just think about having the military here. When you see what's going on around here, if you drive a few blocks outside of downtown, you don't know that anything is happening in the city at all.
Down AP, and then right here.
Yeah, hi. Can you just talk about the metrics that you're considering for lifting the curfew? You know, you said things generally went well last night. Do you see that again?
The metrics for lifting the curfew are twofold. Number one, a night where there's no arrest, okay? But number two, it's interdependent on what happens with the administration.
And then, you know, you describe these arrests as minor.
Minor meaning unlawful assembly and curfew.
Right. So not looting,
No, of course not.
But we did see, you know, police on horseback, police firing,
right,
projectiles at seemingly peaceful demonstrators last night. So what do you say to people who see this as excessive force against people who are, you know, out in the streets protesting the same stuff that you're describing as unconscionable?
Well, what I do believe is that we need to evaluate what has happened. One thing about our cities is that there's cameras everywhere. So individuals might not have been arrested on the day they committed the crime. It doesn't mean they won't coming down the line. but there have been allegations, and we need to check into each one of those.
Down in front here, and then we'll go political, and then
Max Adler, Bloomberg. Do you have any idea how much extra LAPD spending has accrued since Friday? How will that impact the budget for the upcoming fiscal year? Additionally, there have been reports that the police hitting journalists, whether it's people.
Oh, yes, yes.
Will the next budget include extra funding for police liabilities, which were in this current budget?
Right. Well, let me just tell you that I don't have any idea how much is being spent in overtime now. Again, unnecessary. Didn't need to happen in the first place. I am concerned about the budget impacts. You know, we had almost $1 billion deficit here, and so I'm concerned about that. But there's no way of knowing, and there's also no way of knowing when it's going to end.
I think it's a political time.
So you talked about how you don't really know when the raids are going to stop. This is a signature policy of the Trump administration. Do you have any indication that this is a realistic ask of them to stop the raids? And if that doesn't happen, what is Plan B?
Well, let me just tell you that the alternative is to stay silent. And to me, I am going to continue to advocate on a federal level and look at the breadth and power that is represented here. You have over 30 leaders of cities, 30 cities joining together to talk about how this is impacting all of us. You know that in a year the World Cup is going to be here? 8 games. All of our cities are going to be involved in the World Cup. I know the president is excited about the World Cup and wants to be supportive of the World Cup. The best way to support the World Cup? In the raids, and frankly, share some of that financial support that you're giving unnecessarily to the military.
And do you have any plans if that doesn't happen? Or have you talked
If it does, that the raids don't end?
Right.
No. I mean, we are stuck in this no man's land of not having any idea when the policy will end.
We're going to Sean, and then we'll check things out.
Hi, Sean.
Back to the city's approach to the protests. And there's some pretty clear tonal differences between the way California leaders have been talking about these protests versus the ones in 2020 during the pandemic. And I'm wondering, sort of politically speaking, what would you say the biggest lesson is that you took from 2020 and the subsequent backlash?
Well, in all fairness, in 2020 I was in Congress and I was doing police reform on a national level, so I spent most of my time visiting other cities, so I can't comment about 2020 here.
Questions in the back?
Sorry.
I was just wondering if you could quantify the impact the raids if they continue going with the culturally, financially, emotionally to the whole LA and the city.
We are trying to quantify that now, and I would invite the other mayors that have experienced raids, if they have quantified it now. But looking at police overtime, looking at the vandalism that took place in the downtown area and other areas, there was also, the looting that took place on one night, or maybe it was 2 nights. All of that is going to be a cost. But to me, it's also the human cost, the cost of these families being divided, for kids not knowing where their parents are, for kids and families being ready to go to graduations. I had talked to a friend that went to the grocery store and the shelves were empty. Why? Because the immigrant labor didn't come to work. And this is an issue whether you are legal or not. You have people going to the immigration office for their annual check-ins that they're supposed to do with papers and going in and getting detained along with their families. So, I think the cost has to be looked at comprehensively, not just to vandalism and police overtime, but the human cost to the disruption of these families.
Can I follow up on that? Like, there's shows out at the music center, like the LA Opera, the Phil, and theaters that are having to be canceled, restaurants having to close early. Is there going to be any way that we can keep some of the money that they're losing?
Well, let me just say that the shows and all of that, I have not heard of one, but they are going to be accommodated. So the law enforcement knows that this is a major entertainment center and that, shows are going to take place. So that will be accommodated.
Thank you so much.
All right, thank you.
And mayors here are also available for one-on-one.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Appreciate you.
All right, looks like this press conference with leadership in LA and the LA area is wrapping up. As we just heard, many of the folks here at this press conference reference, including the mayor, the fact that they say that they are concerned with deployment of troops, various troops, as we've shared before here on Live Impact News, to the LA area to tackle these protests, which have cropped up in response to ICE raids. And just to kind of catch you up to speed briefly here, we saw as recently as last night more protests, more arrests made. In fact, the mayor referenced this. She said more than 100 people. We've been seeing elsewhere figures of more than 200 people arrested just yesterday. They had established a curfew, and there were folks who apparently did not disperse when they were told to, and that was the reason for those arrests.